Welcome to the College Investor Audio Show, where we talk about the biggest issues impacting millennial money, from student loan debt to side hustles to building wealth. We will show you how to get out of debt so that you can build real wealth for the future.
I know it's depressing, but we're also giving you some hope as well. Today on the College Investor Audio Show, we're talking about the average student loan debt by year. The amount of student loan debt in the United States, of course, continues to grow exponentially, with over $1.5 trillion in student loans outstanding. This includes both federal and private loans, and almost 45 million Americans currently have student loan debt. Ouch. The stats around student loan debt are very scary, but how do you compare? We've broken down millennial net worth by age, and today we're tackling average student loan debt by age, or rather, by the year you graduated college. While we would ideally like to hypothesize how much debt you have by age, that's near impossible, of course, but luckily we've been able to compile some stats by the average student loan debt amounts by the year you graduated college. Let's break them down, shall we? So the current state of student loan debt, from 1990 to 2013, the growth of student loan debt surpassed the growth in students, going from $24 billion to $110 billion per year, a 352% increase in loans. During that same period, the number of students borrowing increased by 40%. 1992 to 1993, was just 49%, and then in 2015 to 2016, 71%. The increase in borrowing coincides with an increase in tuition. Going into 2011, 90-plus days student loan delinquencies were rising. After a small dip, they jumped to well over 11% at the beginning of 18, and have since leveled off. Good. And you can find out more. We have a link at thecollegeinvestor.com for all of this stuff if you want to do some more research on your own. Average student loan debt by year. So how do you compare to other students who graduated in your class? We have the average debt by year of graduation. These numbers are the at-graduation number for students who graduated with a bachelor's degree. I am not going to go through each year from 1993 through 2019 in a podcast, but we just want you to know. I'm going to touch on a couple of years. Back in the graduating class of 93, the average student loan debt, $9,320. Let's fast forward to 2003, 10 years later. The average debt, $18,271. Let's go 10 years after that, in 2013, $29,455. And it's just a tick above that in 2019, just this last year. $29,900 is the average debt with a bachelor's degree. Ugh. The rapid climb of tuition. Large increases in tuition aren't a recent phenomena. Get this. Tuition began rising steadily in the 80s. We got a chart. Politicians aren't wrong when they say you used to be able to afford college. It's true. Can you imagine this? Only paying $617 per year, not per credit hour, per year to attend school. That's what it cost in 1977, not adjusted for inflation. But even when you do adjust the $1977 to 2019 for inflation, you would still only be paying $2,607 per year. Are you kidding me right now? We have a huge chart breaking down school year and cost of tuition, and yes, we did adjust for inflation, and we sampled from the past 4 decades. Let's take a look at the 76 to 77 school year. Just touched on it, $2,607 per year to attend school. We fast forward to 1997 and 1998. The cost of tuition, still, wow, $4,740. That's nothing. I could pay, anyway. And then we jump ahead to 2018, 2019. The cost of tuition is $10,230. I mean, that's just 4-year public schools we're talking about, let alone how much private schools cost. Okay, so how much student loan debt should you have? That begs the question of all this stuff. What should I do? The short answer is this. as little as possible. The end. Although there is a long answer, and let's get to it. It depends on the ROI of your college degree. ROI, of course, means return on investment. Now, the amount of student loan debt really depends on how much you earn after college. So remember, the goal of your student loan debt was to advance your career goals, which in turn should earn you more money. Furthermore, it's important to remember that the collateral of your student loan debt is your earnings. So to make your student loan debt, quote unquote, worth it, you need to maximize your earning potential. Here's a good rule of thumb. Never borrow more than you expect to earn in your first year after graduation. So for most average student loan debt borrowers this year, the average was $29,900. That's possible in most career choices, really. That's kind of on the low end on a lot of them. Where people really get into problems is when they borrow way more than average. Even if you borrow above average, you can still see an ROI if you are going to receive student loan forgiveness. So keep that in mind too. Here are just a couple of final thoughts on this really quick podcast. Student loan debt can be worth it if the loans are borrowed with a clear ROI. Where most borrowers get into trouble is that they borrow way more than average, and they also take on large amounts of private student loans too, which have fewer repayment plan options compared to federal loans. So if you have student loan debt, how do you compare? Were you or are you above or below average for your class? Check out the charts in complete detail. You can see them and kind of compare where you are based on your graduating class. Again, it's all at thecollegeinvestor.com. All kinds of other resources there too. You can even find scholarships, search for things, find out about repayment plans and options and forbearance and all this kind of stuff. thecollegeinvestor.com. Thanks again for stopping by today, and we'll talk to you again very soon.